Recording is on.
All right, that's fine. So in our next class, we'll be looking at the assignment. However, let's move on by sharing my slide so that we can look at the topic for today. So in our last class, we talked about user stories and acceptance criteria, and I told you that those are building blocks to writing PRDs, which is the product requirement documentation. So we all know what user story should now entail. That the user should be involved. Uh, it should speak to what the user is trying to do and what value the user is trying to get in return in doing that particular activity. So yeah, so today we'll be talking about product requirements documentation, also known as PRD, product requirements documentation. So you must have, or we've spoken about PRDs in our previous classes, but we've not been able to really like touch based on it. And I said yes, in one of the classes we're going to be having a PRD section where we'll be able to know what exactly is PRD, how we can write a good PRD, and also we'll do practicals when it comes to PRD. So you should, whenever you hear about product requirement documentation, know it's your job as a product manager, as product owner to write requirements documentations as the name implies. So you need to write this for all stakeholders involved for alignment. Now, products. Okay, let me can anybody try looking at the literary term like the wordings now, products, requirements, documentation. Can anybody define PRD for us using a literary term? You don't need to give it the product definition now. Just a literary term. Anyone?
It's the process of putting down the requirements for whatever products one is building.
Is that all for me?
No, I did Amola.
Okay, Adedamola. All right. Thank you for that. Does anyone want to try again?
Okay.
Any other idea? Anything at all? What, in your own term, what you understand product requirement documentation to be? Try it from anyone. Dory said you try. Abraham, Tofumi.
Ma, um, maybe like product requirement documentation.
Yeah, that's the name of what we are
The
looking for.
required documentation for the product.
Hey, okay. See the way they said you twisted it for me. Took it the other way around. Interesting. That's fine, no problem. That also works. You all have tried. So let's look at what the definition of it is actually. So this is going to be our objective for the section. We're going to explain what PRD is and what why PRD matters. Like every other topic that we talked about, we always try to know why it matters because it is only when we understand why it matters that's when we can really know what we are doing and we can do it better and also understand the modern PRDs. Yes, there is old PRDs, there's modern PRD. So we have to understand this so that whenever we are writing requirement documentation for our products as product managers, we are writing the modern ones and we're not using uh old methodology. So also we'll be able to write sample PRD. Yes, it's a must for us that everybody in this class will be able to we will definitely have an assignment on writing PRD when we are done with the topic. We should start writing requirement documentation for all of those beautiful features, all of those awesome features that we've talked about. So we should be able to write wonderful documentations for them. And also, we should be able to translate our user stories into product requirements. So, and the last one is to collaborate. We should be able to collaborate better with our designers, with our engineers, with our requirements. So I'll go to the next slide. What is product requirement documentation, if you may ask? A PRD, it's a guide that defines a particular product requirement, including its purpose, features, functionality, and behavior. Now, what does this mean? When we talk about PRDs, we talk about document, we talk about guide, we talk about manual. What does this manual? Just like when you buy your phone, when you buy your gadgets, there's usually manual, either soft or hard copy, manual as to how to operate it. So that's the same thing when it comes to PRDs. That's what PRDs are. So when we talk about PRDs, we talk about guide that defines what the product requirement is. So it includes the purpose of that particular feature, the feature that you're trying to bring on board, the functionality, and the behavior, how you expect the system to behave, how you expect the product to behave. So your product requirement documentation has to entails all of this. Always note that it should include your purpose, the future, the functionality, and the behavior. So it serves as the guide for the business and the technical team. So it's not just for the technical team now, it's for both the business and the technical team to help them to develop and launch the product while going to the market faster. So basically, when we talk about PRDs, we're talking about a guidebook, a guide document, a manual that assists your business team and your business team and the technical team in order to build, to develop, to launch and market the product. So why it also involve the business team is because the business team will also help you pitch the product to users. That's which also consists of your marketing team. So a PRD should be able to guide them through all of these products life cycle. So in simpler words or simply put, a product requirement documentation clearly explain what problem a product is solving, who is it for, and what needs to be built. So I repeat, a product requirement documentation is trying to explain what the problem a product is solving. What kind of product are you trying to bring on board? I'm bringing a savings application, a savings product. What is the problem that this product is trying to solve? It's trying to solve the problem of excessive spending among individuals. So it's telling me what that product is trying to solve now. And who is it for? Who are my target audience? Who are my target users? This product, this savings product is targeted towards young persons who have smartphones from age this to this. What now you already understand who your target audience are. You already know what you are building. You already know the purpose at which you want to build this feature or this product. Now, what needs to be built? You are not saying that this is what you should build. You are not saying that this is how you will build it. You are telling them that this is what you should build. Don't You are not telling developers that for you to build the savings goal future, you have to give a command, your HTML and sorry, your HTML and your CSL has to be like this. You're not teaching them how to write their code. So always note that when you are writing your PRD, you are only telling them what needs to be built. You are not telling them how. It's just like, let's use a restaurant for instance. You are telling them that this is the menu. You are telling your cook, your chef, your kitchen, your kitchen employees that, oh, this is what I need. These are the menu for the day. You are not telling them that, okay, these are the menu for the day. These are the menu for the day. For instance, you are telling them jollof rice, fried rice, spaghetti. You are not now telling them that, ah, this is how you are going to cook your fried rice. This is how you should cook your. This is how you are going to cook your jollof rice or your fried rice. You are only telling them that this is what I need on the menu. How you are going to build it, it's your own work. It's your own responsibility. So go look for how to build this. So always have that at the back of your mind that your product requirement documentation does not show how that feature or that product is going to be built. So PRD is a simple source of truth for what is to be built. So now, as product managers, we must know that our PRDs are our single source of truth. They are literally what we call our Bible, our Quran. That is where you know, oh, this is what I asked the engineers to build. Did they really build this thing? Was it the same thing I asked them? So it's a single source of truth. That's your own source document as product managers. So see your PRD as your source of truth. It is what you go through, you go back to whenever you are confused, whenever you look at the feature on the UI and like, ah, is this really what I'm looking at? Is this really what I asked the engineers to do? You go back to it. It is your source of truth. And I say, oh, okay, this is what I said. This is what I said. This is what the design looks like. You're able to get a breakdown of this there. So always note that your PRD is your Bible, your PRD is your source of truth, your Quran is what you fall back to when everything looks like, ah, it's now, maybe you are not understanding it again, it's looking complicated, visit your PRD. That's why they call it a document. It is a working document. It is a working document that you always make reference to. Ensure you make reference to your PRD. Your PRD is what your engineers, your QA, your business team, it's working on, it's using at their own reference to whatever it is that they are doing to that product. So product requirement documentation, it's very important. You cannot say you want to build a product and you do not have a documentation for it. You cannot build, like I always say, you cannot build based on guesswork. Always note this as product managers. You cannot build based on guesswork. Oh, I think. No, there is nothing like I think. There has to be a document that is backing it up. You have to have that document that backs it up. That, okay, this is it. This is it. So that even when things go wrong tomorrow or there is a mistake, you can go back to your document that, oh, this is where the issue is coming from. It is a document, not based on and then say no. You cannot build based on that. As product managers, you have to build on concrete evidences. You have to have those evidences when you are building. You build on concrete evidence. You don't build based on guesswork. Your product requirement documentation, it's very very important for you when you are building your product, because that's what your stakeholders will refer to. Any question before we proceed?
None ma, I with you ma.
Okay. So why do we even need PRD? Why does it matter? Without a PRD, the team will be building the wrong thing. If you do not have a requirement documentation that your team will fall back to, that your stakeholders that are building your product will fall back to, they will end up building the wrong thing because you don't have proof. There's this proverb that says, the proverb says, in a in a town or in a country where there is no law, there is no crime. So even if they what's it called, they build the wrong thing sef, you cannot hold them responsible because you did not even you did not give them a document to refer to. So always note that without product requirement documentations, your engineers will make assumption. They will just be working based on guesswork. And I said product managers cannot work based on guesswork. Your engineers will just think, oh, okay, for this product, for this particular feature you want to build for this product, you're saying that you need the login page. Okay, they will think, okay, for the login page, because you've not indicated if it should be email or phone number, they can just think it's phone number. They'll just guess. They'll say, oh, it's phone number or okay, it's username. But because you have a documentation, they can always refer back to your documentation. So product requirement documentation is very, very important for product managers. Another one is without product requirement documentation, yeah, sorry, your stakeholders keep changing requirements. Now, if you do not have PRD, there will be lots of requirement changes because there's no even documents backing it up in the first place. So when you test something out or you demo it, then the stakeholders can be like, marketing team can be like, this one is supposed to be like this one, because you do not even have a source of truth that you go to. Anybody can just troll you around, and you do not have any justification to it because you said you don't have a documentation for it. Without PRD, time and money are wasted. When you do not have PRDs, your time, your money, effort, development times are wasted because one, your engineer will build the wrong thing. Your engineers to build two, your engineers to build on based on assumption. Requirements will keep changing, and for one feature you can end up using 1 2 years without even completing it because there is no PRD for it, there is no document for it, you're not documenting things. Documents is very important for us as product managers. Write down your everything, like you should have an idea book. Write down everything. It is important that you have documents. Now with a PRD, now what happens when you have a PRD? When you have a PRD, everyone understands the problem. Now this is very, very important for us as product managers. Your builders, that's your engineers, they should not only build because they want to build for building sake. They should build because they understand that there is a problem and you are trying to solve it, what the problem is and why you are solving this problem, what's the value that the customers are getting in return. So they have to understand this, that for every of your product requirement documentation there has to be a problem statement. So every stakeholders already know that, oh, this is the problem, this is what we are trying to solve. So when they are building, when your builders are building, they have the product in mind, they have the problem in mind, like, oh, I am creating the solution. They are even creative, they are creative in their solutions because they already know what the problem is. They know that they are now a problem solver. They are working towards solving this problem. Their interest is there. They are not building for building sake. They are building with value, having the customer in mind. It's very important. Now, decisions are also documented when you have a PRD. Oh, you've aligned with your technical team, you think for this future, this is the edge case, okay, you think let's go this route. You document it, put it in your PRD. so that you know that decision was made that let us go for this. Or maybe you have your CEO or you have your boss, your superior in the meeting, and they say, okay, this is what we should do, this is how we can go about this. So those decisions should be documented in your product requirement documents. Then the scope of the work is controlled when you have a PRD. What do I mean that the scope of the work is controlled when you have PRD? When you have PRD, you do not just build outside your scope. Now you have your scope of work. You have your product backlog. You have what you are taking into your sprint. So you do not build outside the scope. This is the product vision. This is that particular feature that you want. You don't now, after maybe during production or during development, you don't start now, you don't start getting other ideas that, okay, let me put this, like at the end of the day you now go completely out of scope. It is, it mitigates this when you have a document. You know you are going with and strictly the documents. Then it is faster. There is faster and better execution because everyone is aligned. There is usually a faster and better execution to your development and implementation of your product ideas when you have your PRD. So PRD, like I said, it's very important. It cannot be ruled out in our product management life cycle. We need it in the product ecosystem. Documentation is very important. If we do not know how to write document before now, we need to start learning. We need to start writing document. We would write document. We need documents. We need, in fact, you need to be in a secluded area to be able to think. Ideas will come. Now you have to put those ideas in documents. You have to put it in a concise language that every stakeholders it's involved know what they do, what they are to do. Most times, like I said, we are the CEO of our own product. Most times days are very busy. What I do myself is when I want to write documentation, especially product requirement documentation, I write it after work hour. Because during work hours you might get so distracted. Engineers will call you, stakeholders will call you, and you might even lost your line of thought in what you are writing. So I usually make it like, okay, before I resume work, I can wake up very early in the morning, start writing my documentation. Over the weekend when I know there won't be phone calls, there won't be any interaction. Why do I do that? It gives me that time to focus, that time to think, that time to use all the ideas I have gathered, translate it into written forms for my engineers to be able to understand. At night when I know there is no work interference, that anything can come in and you forget what you want to do. So it's very, very important that we learn how to write good documents as product managers. If you are not conversant with Google Documents, start using it, start getting used to it. I like using Google Workspace because it automatically saves my work. I don't have to lose my job, like lose my work when I'm, maybe I forgot to save and my device run down. No. Once it is on Google Doc, it is automatically saved. As I am typing, it is saving. As I progress in the work is saving. So it's very, very important that we start using Google Doc. You can use Notion depending, but have a document. Have a document. Name your document properly, and would also still be looking at how we can write our product requirements documentation. But please learn how to write soft documents now, not the one you go and write. I don't know. The people still use biro and pen, like you know, be writing file up and down. I don't know. But the world now, it's technology has made things more easier. You have your notepad, you have your Google Doc, you have your Notion, you have your Confluence, you can use Trello. So you have all of those tools that you can use in writing your document. and you can use it for reference. Imagine using a Google Doc, it is automatically saved on your drive. Even when you are not with your device, you can log into another person's device and you have all your documents handy. That's one of the reasons why I like Google Workspace, because you can always have it handy in other devices. So it's very important that we learn how to start writing. We would write documents. We would write documents in languages that our stakeholders will understand, even when we do not explain to them. All right, like I said, there is old and there is new PRD. There is the old way that people tend to write requirement documentation in those days, and there is a modern way. Now, old school PRD, how does it work? 30 to 50 page. 30 to 50 page. How many of us? Okay, no, let me not say how many of us can write 30 to 50 page documents. How long will it take us to write 30 to 50 page documents? Anyone? How long do you think it will take you if you want to write a 30 to 50 page document from scratch? Anyone?
It depends. Is it on paper or on documents?
Document, please.
It's going to take a while.
Like, how long?
It depends if somebody is focused on writing that with no breaks. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 3 hours.
Like 3 hours.
I don't know.
Wow. Wow, some 3 hours. Hey.
If somebody is focused on it and the person is not doing any other thing,
Okay. All right, no problem. Thank you. Teresa Ju told for me, how long is it going to take you to write a 30 to 50 page document?
Hmm. Ma, it might take years, like a month, or it might depends on the person writing it, sha. Because if it's since it's like a requirement that we have to
Teresa Ju, I
ma
can hear you. No, proceed. I
okay
think
ma,
it's
yes,
my
I said
phone
since it's
started.
like a requirement for a product, I feel like you write, then another thing will come again. You have to write, you have to go through the writing again. So let's say like max 4 weeks. I don't know.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that, because you will write, ideas will come in, you will iterate, you will still go through it, proofread what you are even writing if it even makes sense. And you might even still uh share it for internal reviews, comments will be made and all of that. So it's a whole lot of time. It's really a whole lot of time for you to be able to write a 30 to 50 page document. So for me, you wanted to say something.
I wanted to say it depends on like how prepared that person is actually. But for probably like okay, maybe after our training and then maybe there's this job that now came in. Like as a beginner, like this would be our first time doing something like that. You can't use like a day set to do it. Something like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because we want to like think and restructure whatever we want to like document. So to me, maybe like a month, yeah.
Okay, it's still in line with what Teresa just said. It seems it's only Adedamola that can use 3 hours to finish 30 to 50 page document too. Because me, I'm not sure myself I can finish in 3 hours. Abraham, how long is it going to take you?
Um, just like Tofumi said as well, if you are a beginner, you want to start, it might take time. You want to like reason and think before you write a PRD. So I think it's going to take a long time. So 2 to 3 weeks should do if you are focused and you are committed to it.
Okay. I agree. I agree with you, whole, depending on our abilities as well. So uh sorry that Adedamola can finish it in 3 hours does not mean that's not possible. And that another person can finish it in 3 to 4 weeks doesn't mean the person is slow or something. So it all depends on our ability, and I totally agree with that. So yeah, so it's not even about now. One thing is writing it. Now, how many of your engineers are going to be willing to even read 30 to 50 page documents? 30 to 50 page when they have codes to write. You're not giving them a document of 30 pages or 50, say, as the case may be. How are you sure they will even go through everything in that document and they will not just skim through and go and build another thing for you? That's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. Your engineers look at it, that your developer, your QA too, we need to go through it, wasting of time. They have to look at it and they still have other jobs to do. So that's a whole lot of time for them. So that's one thing, one disadvantage of the old PRD. Then it's very technical. It's more of technical. It's really before a non-technical. In fact, it's very technical. So most times these are usually written by technical product managers because everything in the document is so technical. Then another thing is it's written once and never updated. Once you have written it, you have written it. It is now like a rule book. You have written it, you have written it. No changing. Just like we have our religious books. No changing, no updating. It is just there. You cannot go back and change it. Strictly by the rule. Rigid. It is hard to read. Obviously, I don't know if it is just appearing to me that it's going to be hard to read because 30 to 50 pages. I don't know. If you have a contrary opinion, you can say on this call. If you think for you it's going to be simple to read, one, it's 30 to 50 page. Two, is very technical. So, do you think it will be easy for you to read? If you find it easy to read, let me know. You can indicate. No one. So everyone, does that mean everyone agrees that it's going to be hard to read?
Please, I don't understand.
Okay. So one of the things about writing PRD in the old way is that it is hard to read. I'm now asking us that do we agree that it is going to be hard to read? Reading a 30 to 50 page document that is very technical, is it going to be easy or hard to read?
Hard
It's
to
going to
read,
be
ma.
hard.
Hmm, hard to read. Okay. So that means everybody agree that it's hard to read. That means that's true. It's obviously true. It's going to be boring, very hard to read. You might be reading it sef and sleep off. And in fact, it might even before you know it sef, your day might just it might will I say ruin your not really ruin your day, but it makes you so tired and dizzy. Just like when you I don't know, maybe it's just me. When you look at numbers too much, when you work with numbers too much, you get so like you are just worn out. You just have to take a break. Sometimes when I work with numbers too much, I use my what's it called, Excel or something too much.
Sorry
Like
for that.
you said, is anyone saying anything?
Sorry, my was a mistake.
Okay, so you get so easily distracted and all of that. So yeah, that's one thing about it. So let's go to our new PRD now, the modern one. Now for modern PRD, it is short and clear. Very short and clear. Your PRD, I'm not sure I've written PRD that is up to 4 pages before. The maximum should be, it's usually around 2 to 3 pages. Yeah, 2 to 3 pages. I'm done. 2 to 3 pages. Yeah, it's usually around 2 to 3 pages. So usually short and clear. Everyone understand that this is it. It's problem focused. You're focusing on the problem that you want to solve, that you are trying to use that particular document to solve. And it is easy to update. If you write A today, tomorrow you now think of it, the user's pattern has changed. You go back and change it. It is not a rigid document. You use bullets, tables, and links in that kind of document, because you have your where you have your design. I think there was a time one person asked that, okay, how does your is it your user story, your PRD has designs, like how do your engineers have a graphical or pictorial representation of or what they're trying to build. So that's one. It uses link. You can link it up, and I answer that you can also, or you can always add links to your documentation. So you had bullets, bullet one, bullet two, like it's clear, it's easy for you to read. Tables, you tabulate for easy referencing. And it lives in tools like Notion. Like I mentioned earlier, you can use a Notion to write a PRD. You can use Confluence or Google Doc to write your product requirement documentation. How many of us can use at least one of these tools that I mentioned there? Notion, Confluence, or Google Doc. If you can use it, let me know so that we'll know if we are going to have a training on.
I can use Google Doc.
Oh,
That's the only thing I
okay, awesome. What else?
I can use Notion and Google Docs,
Notion and
but
what?
not Confluence.
You can use everything.
And Google Docs.
And Google Docs and
No, no, no.
okay, you can
Notion and Google Docs,
you
but
can
not Confluence.
okay. Abraham, well done. Yeah, that's awesome. So you said you how many can you use and two for me?
I can use Google Docs, ma.
Make your time. Google Docs. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Notion too is easy to know, Sha. But yeah, since we can use Google Doc, me, I even prefer the Google Doc for all of this. I prefer Google Doc, like, because it's saving my work real time and is accessible anywhere, anytime. So yeah, it's awesome that we are able to use one of these tools. So yeah, you're getting familiar to all of those tools as program managers. These are tools that you add to your CVs that you can use when you're applying for jobs. They know, okay, they don't have to start teaching you from scratch. You know how to use these. You can find your way around it. You are also flexible and open to learning. You can learn new tools as well. Okay, so modern PRDs are living documents and they are not rule book. So when you talk about PRDs, the modern ones now, they are living documents. Like they can be changing from time to time. That's why it's always this edition. Is it edition? When it comes to PRD, so that you know that if this is the first draft, second draft, the final version, this is the version Abby, uh edition one, the first edition, all of those things. So they are living documents. They are not rule books that you must strictly follow. That this one is a do or die affair. No, they are living documents. So, from what we've looked at in terms of the old PRD and the new PRD, which one would you prefer and why? Anyone?
So, my please, what's the question?
I said, I haven't looked at the old and the new PRD. Which one would you prefer? The old and the modern one. Which one would you prefer to use as product manager?
The modern one, man.
Why?
The modern one, of
The
course,
modern
yes.
one.
It will help us deliver quickly, man,
Okay. Thank
and
you.
achieve what we want quickly.
Another
Okay.
reason is
Proceed, please.
it will, it will prevent back and forth from you and the developers. So when it is clear and easy to update, you can there won't be too much questions from you and your developers.
Hmm. Yeah, right. You're right. You're right because it is once it is clear, you will not even be fighting. Because if you have 30-page document, you guys might end up fighting on you've not finished this document, it's taking you longer to finish. It's one thing for them to read it, it's another thing for them to understand it. They can even tell you they do not understand, even when they understand and want to frustrate you intentionally. So yeah, it's helps you eradicate all of that. So yeah, it's usually advisable to use the modern PRD as time evolves. You keep staying updated if things changes in the product's ecosystem. You are also trying to change if there's industry trend, something is changing. You are changing with it as well. You don't have to be static. So these are the list of things that your product requirement documentation should contain. Why you should know this is because it will help you when you know what your PRD will contain. It helps you to shape what and what you are writing in your PRD so that you do not go off track. It is only when you understand what should be there, it will help you so you don't go and write what should not be there. So the first thing, when it comes to, sorry please, when it comes to things that your PRD should contain, your PRD should contain your success metric. How are you going to measure success for this feature that you're shipping out? Then the future requirement. What does this feature require? Functional requirements, non-functional requirements should be part of your future requirements. We'll also get to that where we have the functional and non-functional requirements. Then also, your product requirement documentation should contain your messaging that your operations, your business team, your marketing team, stakeholders involved are going to use. Then also the design spec. Attach your design. Your design should be attached to your product requirement documentations. Then your user personas as well. Then the timeline, when you're looking at completing a particular feature. Then questions and answers, if there are any questions, and the document history. Yeah, this one I was talking about when I said you can have a first draft, second draft, revise on so days. So you keep audits of all of these things. So a good PRD should contain all of this. So what are the core benefits, core sections of a PRD? The first one is the problem statement. Every PRD must have a problem statement. You cannot have a future when there is no problem. Yes. Launching products in market means you are solving a problem, that you've cited a problem and you are trying to solve this problem, and that is why you have created a solution. So there cannot be products when there are no problems. Problems and products work hand in hand. Like there is a problem, you prefer solution, and that's why you are shipping out those products. So your products requirement documentation should state what the problem is solving. What problem are we trying to solve? We're building a saving app. What exactly is the problem that we are trying to solve? Because, like I said, your engineers needs to have an insight into what you are solving. They are not working in isolation. They are not working blindly. They know why they are writing the codes that they are writing. An example is users struggle to track their spending because transactions are hard to understand. So now you why you want to build a saving app now is because users are struggling to track their spending. So you want to build an app that helps them to easily track, not savings now, that helps them to easily track their expenses all in one place. They're able to save, they're able to send money, they're able to easily track their expenses. So you figured out a problem. Before you can say you have a product idea, you have to have a problem statement. We talked about this problem statement in one of our classes where we define the problem first. Then the second one is the goal and the success metric. What goal are you trying to achieve? And what does success look like for you in this product? What does success look like for you in this future? You also need to define that well. So example of goals and success metric now is increase weekly app usage. So now there's a goal to increase app usage. What does it look like when your weekly app users increase? Then another one here is to reduce customers' complaints. You want to reduce the number of tickets that your support team gets on a daily or on a weekly basis. So you have to state that so that you understand what exactly you are using to measure success. Then another one is it improve your task completion rate, because there is a success metric. You know how you are measuring your success now. You are able to like, oh, okay, this is the completion rate. You already know that for me to measure success on this particular feature, this has to be done. So it's easily trackable to see, oh, how far you have gone. So and always note that your goals are not futures. Your goals are not product feature. Your product has a goal. The product feature is different from the product goal. So do not miss up any of this. Another one is the target users. Your product requirement documentation should include your target users. Oh, Example, you are building your product for busy professionals, for students, for small business owner. So it should include this so that you do not your engineers when they are building your engineer when they are building, they don't build out of scope. They know who they are building for. They have that mindset of who exactly they are building for. So in your PRD, you should always include this. Another thing is your functional requirements now. So your functional requirements are what the product must do. We have functional and we have functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are okay. This is what my user should be able to do. User should be able to create transactions. See the example here. Users can add categories to a transaction. Send money is a functional requirement. View transaction history is a functional requirement. So users should be able to do certain things. That's what the product must do. The product must be able to do A. The product must be able to do B. The product must be able to do this. Those are your functional requirements. So this is telling you, the example is telling you that okay, a user can be able to add category to a transaction. Then user can edit categories. Then categories are saved automatically. That is what it should do. That's a functional requirement. So there is another one which is a non-functional requirement. How the product should behave. The app should load in under 3 seconds. Now it is not enough that you say you want them to give you a login page. Yes, you want a sign up page, you want a login page. But now your non-functional requirements will now tell you that for this login page for this login page that I ask you to build for me, this is what I want you to do. When you are opening the app, when users are opening the app, let the app let the app load in 1 second, in 3 seconds. Another thing is okay. Another thing is the data should be secured. Users should not input their password and their password is visible to hackers, is visible to external parties. So the system should be secured. The system should be secured. Now, it should be able to work on mobile application. It is not all, you will agree with me that it is not application that works on mobile. Some applications are web view alone. So now for that feature that you want your engineers to work on, you tell them okay, for this feature it should be able to work on mobile devices. It should be able to work on tablets. So those are examples of non-functional requirements. So always note, always ensure that you understand the difference. Your functional requirements are what the product must do. When you talk about functional requirements, you talk about what the product must do. And when you talk about non-functional, you talk about how the product should behave. Now, what the product should do, your functional requirement is the user should be able to send money, user should be able to see their account balance. When user sends money, the balance should automatically update so that they are able to see their balance. When you talk about non-functional requirements, it's okay. When sending money should not take more than 5 seconds, should not take more than 30 seconds. The app should load under 3 seconds. Those are your non-functional requirements. Now, data must be secured. Users data must be secure. That's how you expect that your product to behave. This product should work on mobile app, this product should work on tablet, this product should work on web view. Those are your non-functional requirements. Do you understand this, and can you give me an example of functional and non-functional requirements? Anyone can try. Anyone can try. You can try anyone, functional or non-functional.
Sorry, ma, please, I don't really get.
Yeah, I explained what functional requirements are and non-functional. So I now said, and I gave examples. So I'm now asking you to also give your own example of functional and non-functional requirement.
Okay, ma. My bank app,
Okay.
um, games on phone.
Hmm. Okay. So what's
Yes,
the
ma.
functional requirements there? Okay, first of all, let me ask, do we understand the definition of functional and non-functional requirements?
I was trying to sort some things, ma. So I'm just trying to check the one that I can see here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma, I didn't really hear you.
Okay.
But I don't want to call you back.
Okay, that's fine, no problem. Torisiju. Uh so for me, Adedamola, can you guys try? Do you understand my definition of functional and non-functional requirements?
So for a bank app, I'm just going to try. So for a bank app now, I think a non-functional requirement should be that it should be it should be easy to navigate. Like it should
Non-functional.
not be
Okay.
I think so. Like it should be I don't know how to explain it. Like it should be sweet to use. Yeah. It should not be too difficult to operate.
Okay. What's the functional requirements here?
Mm, a functional requirement. Um, I don't know. I'm still thinking.
Yeah, the functional requirements are what the app should do. Um, yes. Let me go back to this.
Okay, so I should be able to send money successfully.
Yes.
I should be able to add somebody to favorite or as a beneficiary.
Okay, correct, 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 correct. Thank you. Any other person that wants to attempt it?
I don't know about the right chat, but should I use like WhatsApp? So for the functional requirement, I don't, okay, I guess maybe the user should be able to like send and like to send and receive text messages.
Okay,
Then for the non-functional, probably like messages should be delivered like in real time with a minimal delay.
okay.
I don't know if
Yeah, that works. That works. Always know that functionals requirements are what the app should do, what the product should do now. Why non-functional are how the product should behave. Behave this, but this is what you should do. Is okay. How do I put it in normal in our own literary terms now? Like Elizabeth should for functional now. Let's start with functional. Elizabeth must take her bath every day. Must. That's important that the person is able to do this thing. You must do this thing. Mandatory is mandatory that Elizabeth brushes her teeth every day. Elizabeth takes her bath every day. That's a must. And it's a must that before Elizabeth goes out, Elizabeth dress properly. That's functional requirement. Now, a non-functional now will not be how Elizabeth should behave. Elizabeth should, when Elizabeth is outside, Elizabeth should respect others. Elizabeth should not be lousy. Elizabeth should knock before entering someone's apartment or someone's office. So now that one is should is different from must. Should does not mean that you cannot behave otherwise. That Elizabeth should knock people's door before entering does not mean Elizabeth cannot misbehave by entering people's apartments and offices without knocking. Does not mean Elizabeth cannot be lousy. Does not mean Elizabeth cannot disrespect others. So that's what it truly means. So now, if you have now written it in your product requirement documentation at a non-functional requirement now, if Elizabeth now enters people's space without knocking, it's now going to be regarded as a bug because this is not how Elizabeth should behave. Elizabeth is behaving otherwise. That means we have to troubleshoot and fix this. So if Elizabeth is now lousy. Normally, Elizabeth is not supposed to be lousy, but if she's now lousy, that's a bug. We need to troubleshoot and fix it. But the other ones are must. It is a must that users are able to send money. It is a must that Elizabeth takes her bath every day. If Elizabeth does not take her bath every day, that means there's a problem. There's a big problem, a critical one. So I don't know if we still understand with this my analogy.
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's just the simple thing when it comes to functional and non-functional requirements. So let's move on. Then we also have what we call out of scope. As the name implies, out of scope. What we are not going to build is does not mean we will not build it later in version 2 or version 3 but now, as far as version 1 is concerned, what we are not going to build is, example, budget forecasting. We are building a savings app and there's need for us to have budget forecasting, but we will not build it now because it is out of our scope for now. Our MVP does not even entail that. It is a nice to have feature. Exporting to Excel, yes, we can export their savings plan, their savings goal in an Excel format. But yeah, can we do it? Yes. Are we going to do it now? No. Should we do it in the future? Maybe. So that's your out of scope. So the section prevents feature creeping so that other features will not be creeping into your product. So this, when you have your out of scope, you already know that in should in the future, as far as this build is still concerned, this version 1 that we are building is still concerned, anything budget forecasting feature or export to Excel feature, it's an out of scope. So that because tomorrow now, somebody can now come after you are, maybe you are still building, you are in progress, and now come, yes, what you build is nice, but this particular savings uh goal or saving history, can it be exported? I think it's nice that we have it exported. So rather than you now starting to wrap your head or start thinking that I think we should consider this thing, you just once you go to your PRD, like I said, that your PRD is a source of truth, you say that this is out of scope. So it immediately resets you back to your normal self that no, this is out of scope. So it prevents all those future creeping in, and it helps you to align and focus on what you are to focus on instead of diversifying, diverting, doing another thing and leaving the important ones. Imagine leaving saving goals and trying to work on export future. So it helps you. It's very important that you include your out of school in your PRD. And how do you even get your out of school? It's easier for you to get your out of school when you look at your product backlog, so you can look at it and be like, oh, okay, this can be my out of scope at the moment. Doesn't mean it cannot change tomorrow, and that's why we said it's a living document. Another thing your PRD should have is your assumption and constraints. Now, for whatever thing you have assumed that is not based on your user research, that is not based on surveys that you've conducted or your market trend, indicate it under your assumptions, as the name implies, assumptions and constraints. So you indicated that this is based on assumption. That's things we assume or things that we are limited by. Example will be user have a smartphone. You are creating a PRD, and for your products, for that particular product of future, you are assuming that users have smartphones from age 18 to 35. It's an assumption because it is not everybody that is within that age range that has a mobile phone or a smartphone. What if it is small phone that they have? What if they don't even have any phone at all? So this is based on assumption. So your constraints can now be limited development time. You want to build a lot of things, and this particular feature you are building will take time, but you have a limited development time. You are working with a lean team, for instance. So you need to also consider all of these and put it in your constraint. Why this is important is so that tomorrow when they come back to you and start haunting you that since when you write your product requirement documentation that you're going to ship out this feature, you are yet to ship it out. You can always go back, refer to your source of truth, your living document, and say, oh, in my constraints, I have mentioned it that there is limited resources. I've mentioned it that we have limited development time. So if they think you should use 2 weeks and you are using 6 weeks, you have something to back it up because you mentioned it in your product requirement documentation. It's there in the assumption and constraints paragraph. So now let's look at how product managers use this a PRD. How do product managers use PRD? The PRD is not written for fun. It is written to guide decision. So we need to know this as product leaders. That you are writing your PRD does not mean you are writing it for writing sake. You are not writing it for writing sake. You are writing it to guide your decisions and whatever product decisions that you'll be making. So you are writing it to guide this. So another thing, it's a PM uses this to guide decision that's design decisions as you are using your PRD to shape your own product decisions. You're also using it to oh sorry. Okay, so a PM uses the PRD to align with stakeholders. You use your product requirement documentation to align with your stakeholders. That's your engineers, your developers, your QA, your business team, your operations team, your marketing team. You are using this to align with them. And you are also using it to guide your decision, your design decision. Because, oh, yes, you have a design, you've made your decision that this is how the design of this product is going to look like, but you are also backing it up. It is not enough that you're giving them a graphical or pictorial representation of what you want the product to look like. You are also backing it up with your product requirement documentation, so it helps you, your PRD helps you to guide that design decision that you have made. And it also gives clarity scope for your engineers so that your engineers are aligned on the scope. They are clear on what you want them and what they need to do. And it's also it reduces misunderstanding. It is you that said I should go and build login page like this. Now I now decide to build it. You're now complaining that this is not what you asked me to build. It mitigates all of this. It mitigates all of this. So you reduce that misunderstanding because you have a living document. You have your source of truth that you can always go through. So always remember that product managers, product leaders, they use their product requirement documentations to align with stakeholders. They use it to guide their design decisions, and they also use it to clarify scope with the engineers so that the engineers are well aligned on what they need to do, And also, it helps to reduce misunderstanding because your PRD is your living document. It is your source of truth. Now, common mistakes that PM makes, especially for beginners, that is being made when it comes to writing your requirement documentation. The first one is turning your PRD into a tax list. It is not done anyway, it is not proper. Do not turn your PRD into tax list. What do I mean by tax list? Um how do I put it this now? You turn it into tax list in the sense that you say, number one, login feature, build the login feature, build this. Like you're now giving your engineers a list of tasks that they should do. No. As product managers, do not turn your product requirement documentation into tax list for your engineers. No. Do not turn your product requirement documentation into like you're writing solution instead of the problems. This is the problem. You are not turning it like you're writing solution to do this. No. Do not forget your success metrics, and do not make your product requirement documentation too technical. So I'll summarize it again. As product leaders, do not make your product requirement documentation, do not turn it into tax list, and do not forget your success metrics in your product requirement documentations. Also, do not make your product documentation too technical, and don't forget to ensure that it's based on the problem and not just, oh, okay, this is what the solution, like you're writing as solutions as product managers. So yeah, that's for that for product requirements documentations. And we would be looking at we would be doing our class activity, after which in our next class we will now go into writing practical product requirement documentations. So far so good. Any question?
None from my end, ma.
Okay, thank you to researching. But I believe we all understood the topic. Do we understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. So we'll be taking some class assessments. Give me a moment. Okay, for example, we now understand the different things that our product requirement documentation should contain. So when I say example, user finds it difficult to track their spending because transactions are not clearly categorized. So what am I trying to say here? What parts? What parts am I looking at here? Looking at the sections. What section of the PRD says that? Remember that we have the problem statement, we have the goals and success metric, we have the target users, we have the functional and non-functional requirements, we have the out of scope, the assumption and constraint. So now, when I say or I heard users find it difficult to track their spending because their transactions are not clearly categorized. What section of the PRD is that? Anyone?
Problem statement.
Problem statements. Is that Adidamola? What's up for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's Adidamola. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the problem statement. That's the problem statement. That's just it. The problem statement. Okay, so I need someone else now. When I say this feature will reduce customers' complaints, what am I trying to do here? What section is that?
Ma'am, please can you come again?
This feature, this product will reduce customers' complaints.
Um, Goals.
Why did you say goals?
Like that's what we aim to achieve by or from the app, from building the app to
Correct,
reduce customer complaints.
correct. That's just it. That's the goal. That's the goal. Like, okay, this is you want to build this future so that this is what you intend. That's what you intend to achieve. It's only Adedamola that is in the class. The next question now, I want another person to answer. So that's the goal. So that will be your goal and your success metrics. So I'll ask another one again. So this feature is for primary users who this feature is for primary users or this product is for primary users who are stressed out or who have busy schedules. So what section of the PRD is that? Another person, someone else, someone
Ah, please,
else.
can you give us the option?
No option. So you said you no option. No option at all. It's part of the sections we discuss when it comes to writing PRD. So for me, I so for me, Adi Damola has talked about the problem statement. She has also talked about the goal. So we have a couple of them. So she has talked about two, mentioned two from the sentences that I raised. So this one now, when I'm saying this future is for, it's even simple. This future is for, okay, let me remove my primary user. Maybe that's confusing. This feature or this product, it's for young Nigerians who have busy schedules. So what parts of the PRD is that, or what section does that speak to? Anyone who wants to try? Try Abraham. Oh, Tufim is on the call. Okay, it's just us. Okay. Hey, Abraham. Are you with us at all? Abraham of God. Okay, so I asked. I we are doing a PRD section map out. So I'm writing that I'm listing the sentence and asking you to map it to what section. So if I say this product is for young users, this product is for young Nigerians who have busy schedules. So what section of the PRD is that? We have the problem statements, which Adedamola has talked about. We have the goals as well. So which part, which section of the PRD does that speak to?
Problem statements.
This product is for young users who have busy schedules. Problem statement. Why is it problem statement?
So yeah, I think it's actually defining the problem. So that's why I feel like it is more of a problem statement.
Okay, thanks, Abraham, but that's not a problem statement. Thanks for the attempt, though. Adedamola, do you want to try?
Target users.
Exactly. That's the target users. Your target users is speaking more to who are the users of this spirit, who are the users of this future. That's the target users. You know what, Sim? Let me share this presentation with us so that we can go through it again. Let me know if you have any questions. Just give me a moment. Let me share. Let me share the link here. So I'm sharing this on the chat box. Someone can also do well too. Okay, I can even post it on the WhatsApp group. Just give me a moment. Let me change the access so that everyone has access to it rather than requesting. for access. Yes. Okay. 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 Just a moment, please. Please confirm that you're still seeing my screen. Though I'm doing this on another screen.
Yes, ma, we can see
Yes,
your
ma'am.
screen.
Okay. So that's the slide for today. I've opened it for everyone's access. So let's go through those each of the slides. Yeah, let's go through each of the slides so that I can really understand. Okay, all right. So let me go back to my question and answer segment. So we've talked about theory, we've talked about problem statements, the target user, the should I one? Problem statement, the goal, yeah. All right. So as a user, I want to categorize my transaction so that I can understand my spending habits. That's under what? As a user, I want to categorize my savings so that my transaction so that I can track my understand my savings. What section of the PRD is that?
Functional requirement.
Yeah, functional requirements. Functional requirement. Of course, yes. That's a functional requirement though, but it's under what? That's our user story as a user. Remember that your PRD must contain your user stories. So that's the user story. That's your user story. So for every of your features now, your future must carry your user story. You have to relate it with your user story. So this is the way it works. This is now you if you want to write your PRD, don't worry, in the next class we'll be writing PRD. It's going to be a practical section. We'll be writing PRD. But I'll just give you this tip. If you're writing your PRD, like you want to build a savings, a loan, a send money app, you do not have to like write one document for everything. No. If you write one document, then you will end up doing the old way of 30 to 50 pages. So this is how you break it down. Your authentication, there will be authentication PRD. Now you will know that your authentication PRD now, authentication feature will carry your sign up, your login, your forget password. All of those three items now has to do with authentication. Now you can have another one that says core feature, your another PRD that says core feature. So that core feature now can be send money, view balance, see transaction history. So for everything relating to that core feature that you mentioned, you put it under it. Okay, settings, we'll have another PRD. Your settings can be okay, account settings, profile settings, profile settings, anything that has to do with settings can just go under that. So that way it helps you not to like have a long list of or a long document. Your PRD is not that long, and you have your futures segmented into different, you can call it modules. So you already have them. Everything relating to dashboard is there. Everything relating to settings is here. So your engineer said they are clear that okay, we are building this particular feature now. You want to do your send money, you'll be able to see your account balance. Add beneficiaries, you should be able to view beneficiaries, you should be able to delete beneficiary. All of those under that particular feature are things that you should list out. There are things that you should list out in your period requirement documentation. So when we start writing the actual PRD, we get to understand this more, we get to see this more from another perspective. So yeah, that takes me back to what I talked about when I say that's the user story. So yeah, you have to have your user story. Then another one is, let me see another one. The future must meet accessibility standard. What section is that? The future must meet accessibility standard. Anyone? So you want to try?
No ma.
Okay, thank you. The future must meet accessibility standard. That's a non-functional requirement. That's what the product should do. It should meet the accessibility standard. You define it for your engineers. Well, I understand when we, in our next class on PRD, so when we start, I've shared the document with us though. So if we start writing PRDs real time, we would get familiar and used to this. So those are non-functional requirements, things that your system, the system should, how the system should behave. When you are building applications, you have to be very careful, especially if it is a mobile or a web application now. If it is a platform, you need to consider different screen size. You cannot compare Samsung phone with Itel, for instance. The screen resolution is something else. So this, you need to, that's why you have your testers, and you sef you have to test yourself. You need to test on different devices, see how your system performs. Those are non-functional requirements that should even be added to your PRD. Let me give you an instance this morning now. This morning, I tried to operate a new phone other than the phone my phone that I'm using. So because it's actually a new phone, it's anyways, it's all these, I don't even know. It's a smartphone. It's a smartphone anyways. So I tried operating it, and I was okay. I think I was trying to do data on it. I was trying to do data on it. When I clicked on, they'll tell you click on one, two. So when I typed the number and I wanted to put, do send, I wasn't seeing send button because the keyboard was blocking my send button. I was not like, I've not experienced this using my phone before. Like after typing something, the keyboard will not be able to go. I cannot minimize. I cannot click on send. How then do I navigate? I was not like, how am I going to do this? I spent time trying to debug what it is before I now look at the phone and like under it as this three button minimizing. I can't remember the last time I operated that kind of phone. This minimizing, and so I now had to click on the back. The keyboard now disappeared. I was not able to see the send CTA button. Then when I clicked it, it has already timed out. So like these are things, you see, that's a non-functional requirement that should have been included in the PRD of that product, because it's frustrating. Imagine users will have to abandon whatever it is they have to do on that device because a particular keyboard was blocking the CTA button. It is not a good experience at all. How would you want to use a product and one thing is blocking the other just because the non-functional requirement was not clearly stated? So you have to state all of these when you are writing your product requirement documentation. You have to look at the screen resolution as well. Not that the way it appears on Samsung phone is not the way it will appear on Itel phone. So those are non-functional requirements that you have to add to your product when you are your product documentation when you are writing. So it's not everything that is functional. There are the non-functional ones. How your product should behave, so that your product do not start behaving outside the scope of other competitors' products. So yeah, that will be that for us today. And in our class we would be meeting again, and when we'll be meeting again we'll be wrapping up our product requirement documentation, because we're going to be doing more practicals. All of these are things that we've learned today. We are going to be putting it into use. We're going to be using our Google Doc to create a working product requirement documentation from the start. So any questions so far before we call it a day?
None from my end, ma. Thank you for teaching us, ma.
Welcome to reception. Any from anyone before we end the call? All right. So I would also be uploading this before I'll share us the link to the recording before the close of the day. Once the recording is available, I'll let us know. So yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. Let's not forget the assignment. I will not be giving us the assignment today. Let's not forget the previous one. So we might be looking at that tomorrow as well. Then I always do well to reach out to your accountability partners before the sections so that they are informed and also in the meeting. So thank you and do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Ma.
much, ma. I enjoyed your class. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome.